Good morning. This session is about Oracle DBA. So we will be covering Oracle DBA in details. So basically, the syllabus for Oracle DBA is shown in this slide. We will cover architecture, then DBCA, instance, users, table space and storage, temporary table space, undo, flashback technology, Oracle networking environment, Oracle locking, Oracle auditing, EM and data pump, enterprise manager and data pump, user managed backup, user managed recovery, ARM and backup, ARM and recovery. So these are the topics that we will be covering in the subsequent sessions. So today's session will talk about architecture. So exploring Oracle database architecture. After completing this lesson, you should be able to list the major architectural components of Oracle database, explain the memory structure, describe the background processes, correlate the logical and physical storage structures. Oracle database, as you know, is an RDBMS. It provides an open, comprehensive, integrated approach to information management. A database is a collection of data treated as a unit. The purpose of a database is to store and retrieve related information, manages a large amount of data in multi-user environments so that many users can concurrently access the same data, delivering high performance, prevents unauthorized access, provides efficient solution for failure recovery. As you all know, Oracle database consists of tables and columns. Tables will have multiple columns and tables will have rows. So the data is stored in the rows within the table, and these tables are related to one another through relationship known as referential integrity, and this relationship are known as foreign key. So through foreign key, the tables are related. So it is known as Relational Database Management System or RDBMS. Connecting to a server, a database user can connect to an Oracle database in one of the three ways. User logs into operating system running Oracle instance and starts an application or tool that accesses the database on that system. The communication pathway is established using the inter-process communication mechanism available on the host operating system. So the user logs in on the operating system. Suppose Oracle is installed on Linux, so the user logs in on the Linux box and connects to the database, that is inter-process communication. Client server, application tool on the local computer that connects over a network to the computer running the Oracle database. Network software is used to connect between the user and the Oracle server. So this is client server. Another is the web browser. The user accesses the application through a tool such as a web browser on the local computer client. The application serves the server, then interacts with the background database server on behalf of the client. So Oracle connecting to a server can happen in three ways, as mentioned just now. One is when the user logs into the server itself and connects, that is inter-process communication. The other is the client server, where the user is on the client machine and the database is running on the server. So through a network software, the client connects to the server. And the other is a web browser where the user is running an application. The application internally will be connecting to the database, maybe through JDBC or some other database drivers. This is a big picture of Oracle database architecture. As you can see, in the instance, we have a big chunk of memory which is known as SGA. Within the SGA, we have that database buffer cache, redo log buffer cache, and shared pool, which consists of library cache and data dictionary cache. So in addition to SGA, there is a small memory area associated with each server process, which is known as PGA, Program Global Area. And there are many background processes like SMON, PMON, RECO, DWR, CKPT, LGWR, ARCN, and others, a few others as well. And then the database consists of data files, control files, online redo log files, and if it is running in archive log mode, then we will also have archive log files. The user process communicates with the server process, and the server process accesses the database. So this is the overall big picture of Oracle database architecture. So connecting to the database, connection, which is a communication between a user process and an instance. Session, specific connection of a user to an instance through a user process. A session lasts from the time a user connects until the user disconnects or exits the database application. So the user will use a tool like SQL Plus or something to connect to the database, and once the database connection is established, a session is created. In the session, the user will issue many commands like select, insert, update, delete, and the user process will connect to the server process, which in turn will connect to the database to service those commands. And then once the command is service, the response is sent back to the user process, which is sent to the client application. In this way, it will continue till the session is there, and when the user exits the application, the session is terminated. So here again, interacting with an Oracle database, an instance has started a node where the Oracle database is installed. The user starts an application spawning a user process. The server runs a listener that has appropriate Oracle Net service. The user runs a DML type SQL statement and commits a transaction. The server process receives the statement, creates a shared SQL area. The server process retrieves any necessary data values either from actual data file or from the values stored in SGA. The server process modifies the data in SGA. LGWR immediately writes the transaction to the redo log file. DBWN writes the modified block permanently to disk. If the transaction is successful, the server sends a message across the network to the application. If it is not successful, an error message is transmitted. So this is how the interaction happens with an Oracle database and a user. This is a similar picture which you saw earlier also, the database server structures. I'm not repeating this picture, not elaborating here much. This talks about Oracle memory structure. Oracle memory structure will have a big area which is known as the SGA, System Global Area. This SGA is shared by all servers and background processes. This is a shared global area. And then we have Program Global Area or PGA, which is non-shared memory area, and each server process will have its own PGA. Each background process will have its own PGA. So in the SGA, we have database buffer cache, redo log buffer, shared pool, which consists of library cache, dictionary cache, and some other areas. Then we have large pool, we have stream pools, we have Java pools. So these are the components of the memory SGA. Of the SGA, these are the different components. We'll discuss all of them in the subsequent slides. So first is the database buffer cache. This is part of the SGA, holds copies of data blocks that are read from the data files, is shared by all concurrent users. Cache hit is process finds the data already in the cache. Cache miss is process cannot find the data in the cache, managed by algorithm least recently used lists, LRU. So which is least recently used will be flushed out. So this is about database buffer cache. So it stores the data from the data file into the memory. Remember, when you issue, suppose, an update statement, the update statement will not directly update the data file. It will, what will happen is, if the row is already present in the database buffer cache, it will use that row, which is a cache hit. If the data is not there in the database buffer cache, then then the Oracle server will retrieve the data from the data file from the disk to the memory database buffer cache. This is known as cache miss. And then in the memory, the Oracle will make the change from the old value to the new value, and the buffer cache thus becomes dirty. And these dirty buffer caches are written to the disk by the DBWR process. So this is database buffer cache. Redo log buffer is a circular buffer in SGA, holds information about changes made to the database, contains redo entries that have the information to redo the changes made by operations such as DML, DDL. So to redo the operation, we store suppose you have written an update statement. That update statement is written in the redo buffer cache in an English like statement. It's written, and this is a part of the memory where Oracle will write that update statement. So what is the purpose? The purpose is during recovery, these redo entries are required to do the recovery, to rerun the SQLs which you have applied, because there was a crash, so you have to rerun the SQL. So during recovery, these redo logs are used, but Oracle do not write directly to the log file. It writes in the buffer, redo log buffer, and LGWR process periodically flushes the redo log buffer into the redo log file. Then we have shared pool. Shared pool consists of library cache. Library cache is a shared SQL area. So, so all the SQLs that you are running are stored in the library cache. So if a parsed version is there, it will use the parsed version. Otherwise, if it's a new SQL, it will be again parsed. That is known as hard parsing. Oracle database recognizes when two users are executing the same SQL statement and uses the shared SQL area for those users. So that is for the SQLs. We have the shared SQL area in the library cache. SQL query result cache and PL SQL function result cache, these are also stored in the library cache. Then we have dictionary cache, which stores the control structures. That is the metadata about the dictionary that is stored in the data dictionary cache in the memory. Allocation and reuse of memory in shared pool. Server process checks the shared pool to see if shared SQL area already exists for an identical statement. Server process allocates a private SQL area on behalf of the session. Server process Oracle database also flushes the shared SQL area when the shared pool. In these circumstances, when DBMS package is used to update or delete statistics of an object, schema objects is referred in the SQL statement and that object is later modified in any way, the shared SQL area is invalidated, marked invalid, and the statement must be reparsed the next time it is run. If you change the database's global database name, all information is flushed from the shared pool. The administrator can manually flush, alter system, flush shared pool. With this command, he can flush the shared pool. Large pool provides large memory allocation for session memory for shared server and Oracle EXA interface. IO server process, Oracle data backup and recovery operation. The large pool does not have an LRU list. So large pool, basically the RMAN backup and recovery for that large pool is used. Then we have Java pool. Java pool memory is used in server memory for all session-specific Java code and data in JVM. So for the JVM and Java code, you need the Java pool. Streams pool is used extensively for Oracle stream process and store buffered queue messages. So these are also components of shared SGA. Process architecture. User process is started when the user or a batch process connects to the Oracle database. Database process, server process connects to the Oracle instance started when a user established a session. Background processes are started when an Oracle instance is started. We have two kind of server process. One is a dedicated server, one is a shared server. In dedicated server, one server process is dedicatedly associated with one user process. But in shared server, we have a dispatcher and a pool of pool of server processes. So when a user make a request, the dispatcher will see which server process is free and allocate the server process to that request. Once the request is served and the response is sent back to the user, that server process returns back to the pool. So there is no dedicated server process. So that is known as shared server. So one of the processes we talk about is the Oracle background process. Let's talk about Oracle background processes. DBWN writes modified dirty buffers in the database buffer cache to the disk. Dirty buffers are added to LRU write in SCN order asynchronously while performing other processing, periodically to advance the checkpoint. DBW1 through DBWN and DBWA through DBWJ. So there can be multiple DBW processes, but the purpose of DBW is to write the dirty buffer to the data files, dirty database buffer to the data file. The DB writer processes initializes parameters, specifies the number of DBN processes. When the server cannot find a clean reusable buffer, redo byte address for the position of redo stream by recovery should begin in case of an instance failure. DBWN periodically writes buffers to advance the checkpoint, which is a position in the redo thread from which an instance recovery begins. This log position is determined by the oldest dirty buffer in the buffer cache. Log writer process, or LGWR, writes the redo log buffer to the redo log file on the disk. The redo log buffer is a circular buffer. Write ahead protocol. Before DBWR can write a modified buffer, all redo records that are associated with the change to the buffer must be written to the disk by the LGWR process. So LGWR writes when a user process commits a transaction, when the redo buffer is 1/3 full, or before DBWR process writes modified buffer to disk. In these three scenarios, the LGWR will write the two redo log files from redo log buffer. Then we have checkpoint process CKPT. The SCN recorded in the file headers guarantee that all changes made to the database blocks prior to that SCN have been written to the disk. Records checkpoint information in control file and each data file header. System Monitor, or SMON, performs recovery at instance startup, cleans up unused temporary segments. If any terminated transactions were skipped during instance recovery because of file read or offline errors, S1 recovers them when the table space or file is brought back online. So System Monitor process, or SMON. Then we have Process Monitor process, or PMON, performs process recovery when a user process fails, cleans up the database buffer cache, frees resources that are used by the user process, monitors sessions for idle session timeout, and dynamically register database services with the listener. That's our PMON. Archiver process, copy the redo log files to a designated storage defined after a log switch has occurred, can collect transaction redo data and transmit the data to standby destination. ARCN process are present only when the database is in archive log mode and automatic archiving is enabled. Log arc max processes, that is the parameter to increase the maximum number of archiver processes. So database storage structure, we have control files, we have data files, online redo log files, parameter file, backup files, archive redo log file, password file, alert log, and trace files. So these are the database storage architecture, where we have a control file, we have data files, and we have online redo log files, parameter file like the init.ora parameter files, backup files, Arman backup or other backup files, archive redo log files, password file, and alert log and trace files. So logical and physical structure. On the logical side, we have Oracle data block at the granular level. On top of that, we have extend. So multiple Oracle data block will make up an extend. Multiple extend will make up a segment. Multiple segment will make up a table space, and multiple table space will make up a database. And the database has schema. Schema is a database user which owns objects. On the physical side, we only have OS block and data file. So data file is associated with the table space, and OS block is associated with Oracle data block. A couple of OS blocks make up the Oracle data block. This is the logical and physical database structure. So here is the definitions. A schema is a collection of database objects that are owned by a database user. Data block has finite level of granularity, and Oracle databases data is stored in data block. Extent is a specific number of contiguous data blocks. Segment is a set of extents that are allocated for a certain logical structure. The data segment, table data. Index segment, index data. Undo segment, undo data. Temporary segment, temporary data. Table space or data file. A database is divided into table spaces, which are logical storage units that can be used to group related logical structure. Table space consists of one or more data files. Data files belong to only one table space. Big file table space, ultra large file that contains only one data file. System and SysOps table space. These table space are mandatory and created when the time of creation of the database. The system table space is used for core functionality. The SysOps table space is used for additional database components such as the Enterprise Manager repository. Segment extend block. Segment exists in table space. Segment collection are collection of extents. Extents are collection of data blocks. Data blocks are mapped to disk blocks. So that's pretty much about Oracle database architecture. Now I will like to cover another very important topic, which is starting with Oracle 12c. We can have the Oracle database as a container database. So when we create an Oracle database, we can create it as a consolidated database or as a container database starting with 12c. So what is the consolidated database is prior to 12c, that was the only mode of database, that is a normal database. When we cover the DBC, I will show you how to configure container database. And container database starting with Oracle 12c, this has been introduced. So it's known as multi-tenant configuration. A CDB consists of 0, 1 or more PDBs. You need to license Oracle multi-tenant option. Single tenant configuration doesn't require license Oracle multi-tenant configuration. So this is how it looks like. So on below we have the CDB, which is a container database or the root database, and in the root database the pluggable databases are plugged in. They can be plugged in and plugged out at will. So these are the PDBs, and this is the CDB, root or the container database, and there is a template PDB, which is a seed PDB. Oracle supplied container database is called the root container, CDB $root, and consists of Oracle metadata and maybe a little bit of user data and common users. Each CDB has one root. The seed container is named as PDB $seed, and there is one of these per CDB. The purpose of CDB container isn't to store user data. It is there for you as a template to create other PDBs. The user container, which usually called the pluggable database PDB, consists of user metadata and user data. Here are some very important items. Background processors. There is a single set of background processors for the CDB. PDBs don't have any background processors attached to them. So all the background processes that we discussed are attached to the CDB. Redo log files. They are common for entire CDB, while Oracle annotating the redo data to identify for specific associated with the chain. There is no active online redo log for a single instance CDB or one there is one active online redo log for a single instance CDB, or one active online redo log for each instance of Oracle RAC CDB. A CDB has a single set of archived redo log files. So these are all CDB specific. Redo log and archive log are CDB specific. Memory, you allocate memory only to CDB because that's the only instance you need in a multi-tenant database. So memory SGA is attached to the CDB. Control files, there are common for entire CDB and will contain information that reflects the change in each PDB. So control files is also in the entire CDB. So they are CDB specific. Oracle metadata, all Oracle supplied package and related objects are shared. Temporary tables, there is a common temporary table space for the entire CDB. Both root and all PDBs can use this temporary table space. This common table space acts as a default temp table space. In addition, each PDB can also have a separate temporary table space of for its local users. Undo table space, all PDB use the same undo table space. There is one active undo table space for a single instance CDB and one active undo table space for each instance of an Oracle RAC CDB. Entities exclusive for PDBs, table space for application tables and indices. This application table space that you will create as specific to PDB and aren't shared with other PDBs or the central CDB. The data files that are part of this table space constitute the primary physical difference between a CDB and non-CDB. Each data file is associated to a specific container. Local temporary table space, although temporary table space of CDB is common to all containers, each PDB can also create and use its own local table space for its local user. Local user and local role. Local user can connect only to the PDB where the user was created. A common user can connect to all PDBs that are part of CDB. As for example, SYS is a common user, privileged common user. It can connect to CDB and it can connect to PDB, all PDB. Local metadata, the local metadata is specific to each application running in the PDB and therefore isn't shared with other PDBs. PDB resource manager plans. These plans allow resource management within specific PDB. There is a separate resource management at CDB level. So this is a picture of CDB and PDB. So as you can see, control file, online redo log file, undo table space, temp table space, SP file, archive log, flashback log, these are all part of CDB. And PDBs will have system, sysauce, data temp, all these table spaces of its own. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching and bye.